Avoiding plagiarism and paraphrasing appropriately are vital components of being an ethical scientific writer. Ethical writing means knowing what plagiarism is, how you can avoid it, what paraphrasing is, and what happens if you happen to plagiarize. Plagiarism is the representation of the words or ideas of another as one's own in any academic exercise. That quote comes from the Office of Student Affairs, and you can see I've cited it as an in-text citation, and it will be listed in full in my references page at the end of this presentation. Plagiarism comes in a couple of different flavors. It might be intentional, in that you deliberately use someone else's work and pretend it as your own, or unintentional, where you accidentally forget to cite a source or didn't realize that you needed to cite it. How can you avoid plagiarism? When you're taking notes, be sure to put quotation marks around anything that's a direct quote and note which source you got it from. This can prevent you from accidentally assuming that that was your own work. Avoiding plagiarism is easier if you've read, synthesized, and fully understood the information before you use it in your writing. When actually writing your paper, paraphrasing the source's content and citing it appropriately will prevent you from plagiarizing. Always remember to cite your sources. What is paraphrasing if it's so important to avoiding plagiarism? A paraphrase will restate in your own words information you've read and understood. It can't use the same wording or sentence structure as the original source. And it also has to include a citation to the work that you've paraphrased. I've paraphrased all of the information on this slide from the Purdue OWL, which again is cited in text and then at the end of the presentation in my references. Generally, in scientific writing, you're going to use direct quotes very seldom, so paraphrasing is an important skill. What happens if you plagiarize? The consequences depend partly on your professor, and so you should take a look at the syllabus and find out what their consequences are for plagiarizing. As a university, we have a number of possible penalties, and that might mean redoing an assignment or failing a class, so you can see how vital it is that you avoid plagiarism at all costs. If you're not sure if what you're doing is plagiarism, talk to your professor. They can help. To sum up, you are responsible for being an ethical writer. To avoid plagiarism, cite the sources of the information that you use, and be careful when paraphrasing to avoid unintentional plagiarism. Plagiarism is unethical, but it also has real consequences. Some resources that might be helpful include a guide called Paraphrase, Write It in Your Own Words from the Purdue OWL, and also the UMass Dartmouth Student Academic Integrity Policy.